This is great. Thank you very much once again for joining, everybody. We will begin the session now.
Namaskar. Janak, where is the person who asked most of the questions?
Mr. Bhatt is not yet joined, but as soon as he does, I will let him know. I'm going to drop him a message as
Yeah.
well.
Right. So in the meantime, we can start any other questions.
Uh, oh, absolutely. So this is great. I was wondering, sir, if you had any specific requests for people to play, please let us know at the time that you think is right. Of course, we have all the players here right now. I'm sure everybody is keen to join in.
Yes, I think Gopal wants to say something.
Gopalji, please.
Janak, you said that Zoom features allows for the improved sound transmission, and then you said select original sound. But did you mean original sound or the beta version? Because I found that is more for which one do you want us to
Whichever,
answer?
either of those
Using the
two.
beta.
Yeah.
I am using the beta version for performance. So tell me if it is better. If it is better, it will sound probably better when I start playing the flute.
Yes, that's the only way we'll come to know when you play, sir, or when
Yeah,
we play.
exactly. Exactly. I'm just going to take a minute. If there are any questions from the group that is
Yes,
present right now, please continue. I'm just going to take a minute and drop a message on the
yeah,
group as well to make
yeah.
sure more
I
people
have.
join.
So, Guruji, mine is not a technical question. It's actually more. I don't know what to classify it. So I'm obsessed and fascinated with the flute, but given my work schedule, I don't devote much time for practice. And I heard that you are also a professional engineer professional, and you have mastered so much in flute. What are you connected to that had you spent so much time? Because now I'm clear, music is not a function of talent; it's a function of practice and riyas and sadhana. And so, any secrets or what gave you that power and the strength to not let your daily commitments and work commitments and family commitments come in the way? And I know your answer may not suit be a formula, but we just want to hear from you to be inspired about this.
Oh, I quit. I actually started regular practice or riyaz very late in my life. It was at the age of 33 that I decided to quit my job. That was after about 13, 14 years, 13 years of working. And
Nitin, can you be a little louder?
okay, I'll just. Is this better? I'll come closer also.
Yes, yes.
Yes. So as I was saying, I started very late, and after I quit my job, I thought now I have all the time in the world, and I can put in as many hours as I want. And it took me quite a few years to realize that that is not what it is, because I could not even play for more than an hour because you don't know what to play. So coming to the, raising yourself to the level where you know what you're going to play during your practice or riyaz itself takes a few years. So you can't really, don't worry too much about the number of hours you are putting in, because depending upon what you are playing today, so the time requirement or the time demand on your riyaz goes up only beyond a certain point. Till then, you are just dependent on somebody to tell you what to play. And I so you know so I always I like this. If you want to put up a sort of a broad roadmap of how does one get to become a musician, whether he becomes a performing musician or not is another matter. And so I think you begin with the how of it. So when you pick up the flute, the initial struggle is about how am I sounding. So you're focusing on how do I sound? Is my sound right? Is my swar right? So it's all about the how part of it. And I say that the how part of it mainly consists of developing the ability to play all the 12 notes. And that is exactly what the first course is about. So be able to play all the 12 notes very clearly, distinct from each other, and reasonably in sur is how I put the first how journey. Then you start wondering about the what. Now what do I play? And that is how we ended the first course. Now, so you have to now play the phrases of a rag or the aro avro of the rags, so that you now practice the combinations. And this how and what keeps on alternating. How and what will keep on alternating for a few years, maybe. It depends upon how and who you are learning from. And so unless the what part increases beyond a certain level, there is no time demand really, because based on what you're doing, a half an hour at a stretch or 1 hour at a stretch is good enough. And after that, at a point, you start finding time. I have never found time as a constraint. And you will always find time. I think all people who follow or who pursue a serious hobby or a passion, they always find time for it, despite whatever they do professionally. I've seen even doctors, very busy doctors finding time. And so I think you will find time once you have enough of what to play. And the third part of the journey, is obvious. Third part of the journey, obviously, is the why, and you start asking the why questions at a much. But I think this is exactly what happens in our other professional lives also, isn't it?
Thank you. So one more question, may I?
Yes.
Guruji, no matter how much comfortable I am with the seven notes, I notice a nervousness, a trepidation, fear going into Komal source. Is there something that we are missing out, or what way can we approach it so that that fear or nervousness is not messing up how we
One
play those sounds?
one method which I use with my students is I begin with I don't distinguish between Komal and Shuddha Swara. And always say that the Shuddha Gandhar of Bhoop and the Komal Gandhar or of Todi, both are equally easy or equally difficult. And so, that is one. And the Komal Swara, I think it's a huge problem with flautists. I don't know why. And so we don't touch some of the rags right till the end. And I don't see any reason for that, because for me there is no distinction between a Komal Sur and. So what you said is right. The fear is the biggest enemy. And as my Guruji used to put it, the only way to drive fear out is fill it with love. So if you have enough love for it, then the anxiety, fear goes away. And then Who is Janak? Can we put somebody?
Yeah, I think it was Gopal's background.
It's me
Oh,
only.
okay.
There's
Yeah.
a noise in my background. I apologize. I wanted to ask you, say something, but I'll wait. I'll mute myself.
No, I thought it was my wife talking to my
Very
granddaughter. So,
similar, very similar voices, both of them.
No, it's not me.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that is it, and so don't worry too much. I think we think a lot. I think we have to focus more on playing rather than thinking. And
I
yes,
no, I wanted to let you know I'm so grateful for the answer you gave. I got two massive gems in what you said. Fill it with love
yes,
and that you equated both Shuddha and that solved the whole thing for me. Now I'm going to take it on from there. Thank you so much, sir.
absolutely, absolutely. Don't worry. Yeah. I'll tell you, today morning we had a Skype session, about six people, and somebody said we will play Jaunpuri, and I was a bit skeptical. I mean, will you all be able to play Jaunpuri? Because it's quite a complex thing. You won't believe it, everybody in the group very beautifully played the notes exactly. One of them is sitting here, Datta. Datta, what you played today was beautiful. So, what I'm saying is that is what I've been able to give these people. Fear. No, don't worry. If you love Jaunpuri enough, the notes will automatically happen. It is as simple and as natural as whistling. You whistle a song, and you don't really care about whether this is the Komal Gandhar or that is the Shuddha Gandhar, or is the Komal Gandhar higher or lower. You don't worry too much about it. The melody is so engraved in your mind that you just go with it, and the same should happen with a rag also.
Yeah,
Yes,
but wonderful words to begin by. Thank you, Gopal, for your question. This is great. I love how Nitin sir articulates this. I always remember his son talking to me for the first time. He's like, my dad wakes me up at 5 o'clock in the morning and when I'm half asleep to do Riyaz. So to make time
yes.
and to make time, I think are two important things. So thank you very much for that. We will begin with the set of questions that did come up on the WhatsApp group, but I think there is a question on the chat here from RV. I'm not too sure. We've met before, so RV, if you want to put yourself on video, that'll be great. I will ask the question on your behalf in the meanwhile. Says, here is my humble question. I came across a flute maker who customizes flutes for specific thoughts like kafi, etc., or even rags like Nat Bhairav. How does practicing on such flutes help or harm an amateur flautist? This is from
Can
Raghavendra.
I see this gentleman?
Mr. Kulkarni, I'm not too sure if you
Are
can put
you
on.
are you are you from Nagpur by any chance?
Uh, I'll have asked to unmute, but in the meanwhile, his name is Raghavendra Kulkarni.
No, is he referring to, because I know of someone in Nagpur who
He's
does
oh,
this.
he's from Belgaum.
Oh, okay, because I met someone a few years ago who did this. So imagine, this will also solve a big mystery for Gopal, because this answers partially that question also. He showed me a flute made for Bhairav. Okay, so Bhairav, you need to have a Komal Rishabh. So what he does is, this hole is shifted from here to here. So when you open it fully, it plays the Komal Rishabh. And the same would be done for the Daivat. So now you have a customized flute for Bhairav. Okay, so now, imagine playing a flute with unequal distances now. Now this is going to come here. I can't imagine playing one rag like this and another rag like this. And all these efforts, in a much lesser effort, you can produce a much better Komal Swara with a more control. How do you get the means? So now, how do you bring out all these nuances on a flute which has one specific, now you have brought down that Komal Rishabh to one specific point, whereas it is not so. If I go to Ahir Bhairav, it's a different Komal Rishabh. Because there is no Komal Daivat, the Rishabh is not trying to match up with the Daivat. You have Shuddha Daivat, Komal Nishad, and the Rishabh has to move up. From the Sa to the Re, I have the whole continuum to my disposal. Todi will give you another place of Rishabh. This Daivat also is different from the Daivat of Bhairav. So how do I manage all this? All this is, don't focus too much on the instrument. We are more. The swar doesn't come out of the instrument. The swar has to be here. And then if you have the swar right, you will automatically get on whatever instrument you have. You will notice that even the Shuddha Nishad changes. The Shuddha Swar also find their own positions depending upon the rag. So how can you make a flute for Bhairav or Bhairav Thaat? So if you make a flute for Bhairav Thaat and play Ahir Bhairav in that, then you don't get the essence of Bhairav because the Rishabh of Bhairav and Rishabh of Ahir Bhairav are different. So according to me, it is not right. I mean, as an academic exercise, if somebody wants to do it, he's free to do it. I won't use such a flute. It is similar to, you say that I change my sa and then Bhairavi becomes easy. If I change my sa to a scale lower, so for example, so I change my sa and my nishad becomes the sa. So my nishad becomes the sa. Yaman and it sounds like Bhairavi. But I must tell you, if I go back to my original flute and play the same Bhairavi, I have a better grip over the actual needs of Bhairavi if I stick to the Sa. To answer your question, but I swapped, I changed the flute. So I have on my flute there are two holes here, and if I close this, it plays the Shuddha Madhyam here, and if I close this, it plays the Tivra Madhyam in the same place. So I just use the other flute because I've set it for Tivra Madhyam. So this gives me the Tivra Madhyam now. I normally just shift the tape, but I didn't want to waste time today, so I've kept two flutes ready.
Thanks.
Yes, I think
That's interesting. So again, before we jump onto the questions on the group, I think Ravi Kiran ji has a question or a couple of questions. Please, you can unmute yourself.
I have done that. Good evening,
We can
Nitin
hear
ji.
you.
I mean, I said good evening. Are you in India?
me, yeah, I'm in Pune.
Okay, fine. So, good evening.
Good
I have
evening.
two very simple questions which I had shared with Janak on mail. The second one is that I have completed the part of Shuddha Saron ka Abhyas or
Hmm.
Riyaz, and then it asked to submit an assignment,
Hmm.
and I was not really sure what is expected. I mean, beyond that, it says some less than 200 MB or 500 MB, whatever it is. But
Mm-hmm.
what is that I'm expected to upload? I mean,
I think everything.
whatever I play with Shuddha Swar.
No, I think there is a guide to what you have to play and record.
Yes. So I think just to answer that question, this is after the first session, the first segment that we have.
Yes.
This is about uploading any performance video that you want to do to practice the assignment just before we submit the second Abhyas assignment. So
Hmm.
it is an open-ended option. So a lot of students were hoping to be able to get first feedback on
Okay.
their ability to play the Shuddha Swaras. So
Hmm.
this is it is left up to you in terms of what you want Nitin sir to have a look at.
Okay. So what I will do is tomorrow I will, keeping myself within the limit of size, I will
Mm-hmm.
play something and then upload.
Yes.
Absolutely, yes.
So long as it uses only
Yeah.
Shuddha notes.
Yes.
All right. So that was second question. The first question was, um, and by the way, I would like to take just 1 minute to compliment what Nitin ji you said, that we lose a lot of time in thinking. You said that answer to Mr. Gopal. I decided to buy a e-based flute only as late as November 21st or
Mm-hmm.
November 2021.
Oh.
Whereas I could have very easily done that 5 years earlier or 10 years earlier.
Mm.
For a very simple reason that I was afraid whether I'll be able to play that, whether my fingers will reach or not. But then one
Yeah.
day I said, okay, I will buy. And then it took a couple of months or 3 months maybe to be able to play that comfortably. There was no hesitation in my mind that when I want to play Mandara Pancham, then whether I will really be able to produce it or it will produce some weird sound. So that's just by the way. But
Mm.
my question, and that relates to flute itself. I do not hold the flute the way you do, and my
Yes.
flute is not customized the way it is yours.
Mhm.
And since November 2021, I have been playing it regularly for at least 1.5 hour, maybe 2 hours, sometimes even more. Because playing the flute was not a completely new thing for me, but I had never gone below G sharp or maybe F sharp. And then I had never rigorously practiced. So what used to happen was that supposing I start playing song and there is certain phrase that I have in my mind or in my head, but I am not able to reproduce it correctly, I would just pass over it. So all that changed when I bought this e-bass flute, and I
Yeah.
said, no, if this is a phrase, I must get it right.
Yeah.
So that may be a coincidence, but what has happened is in November, suddenly on 12th of November to be precise, my thumb started paining, thumb and wrist. And so I went to the doctor and he asked me all the details and what I have been doing with my hands, etc. So I said I play the flute. I showed him a picture how I hold it, etc. So he said that most likely it is that is the cause. And it's then I started on exercises and medicines, and I'm slightly better. I can play now for 10-15 minutes. Although at the end of that, it does cause a pain to my thumb. Point is then, is it can my holding be improved? And that's where I the question came. The way you have customized, I think that it might make holding the flute easier. Although I have to spend again couple of months in learning your way, but that's okay. So, in case you think so, then who can I approach? Who makes flutes for you? Okay, that's my question. Over.
I'll try and answer the second part of the question. See, more than the holding posture, the basic question is whether you cover the holes with your tips or with the middle part of your fingers. But you know what happens is I used to hold the flute like this for till I said, until the age of about 35.
Hmm.
And then I I started feeling the need to have better control over Komal
Hmm.
Swara.
Hmm.
Number one,
Hmm.
I had the need to use this as the
Whole.
second. These were the musical needs. But then, as I started using this flute, I started discovering more advantages also.
Hmm.
And one of the major advantage I see is the economics of the of the holding. If your wrist is like this,
Yes.
then when you move your fingers, this muscles here are under tension. The
Hmm.
way I hold, it is the most natural way. So when I teach, I say hold the flute like this
Hmm.
and just bring it like this. So this wrist is not under tension. Number one.
Okay.
Secondly, because I am using the tips, I have a better control over the
True.
Komal
I
Swara.
can understand that.
And I also, another advantage is this is the most sensitive part of your body. The nerve ends,
Yes.
the nerves end here. So you can actually feel the swara here. I physically feel the swara at my
Hmm.
fingertips.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then the last but not the least, being an engineer, I know that if I hold it like this, the angular movement makes my
Hmm.
speed lower. Whereas
Hmm.
here, my speed, I can go very high on my speeds if I'm using the That's
Okay.
because my angular movement is much lesser.
So
So
probably that is.
So these are the advantages. So quite a few of my students hold the flute uh, the other way. And I have never insisted that you have to use the flute like mine
Hmm.
till you come to a conclusion that you can progress no more without that. This is what happened to me. If this and this is what has happened to quite a few students who realize that they cannot progress beyond a point musically unless they follow my route. So I leave it to the students and I leave it to them to come to that conclusion rather than saying that everybody should be using my kind of flute. I don't care whether the way you play, as long as you produce what I want. And that is how I was taught. Why did I go through all these changes? Because my guru ruthlessly expected me to produce whatever she said. And
Hmm.
in that pursuit, I kept on making small adjustments. And then finally, this happened. This would not have happened if there was no insistence that no, oh, Bihag has to be like this, Bhoop has to be like this.
Hmm.
Now, when I say like this, I am talking about
I understand.
getting the phrasing right at a very micro level.
Specific note. Okay.
No, not
I
notes.
understand.
The connections. It is more about the connections, not the notes. You can produce the notes, but you cannot connect them well.
Hmm. But I am
So,
convinced, Nitinji, that I will need to change your because I have tried playing
so
it your way.
if you
Yeah.
if you yeah, if you have then there is someone who has started making these flutes. I make my own flutes.
Oh.
But there is somebody in Cuttack who has started making reasonably good flutes like me, and I think Janak will share the details with you.
Great. I will just give me a minute.
No, not now. Janak will share
No,
it
no,
on
no,
the
I'm not,
on the group.
no, I'm not playing it. I'm just showing what happens. See, this first hole from top and second, I have no problem. But why I was
It is
fascinated
it
with
is
your ways that this hole is shifted and it makes it suddenly so very easy.
That's what I'm saying. So if it is so easy, why is everyone not doing it? Is my question. I would expect everyone to do it. There is a huge there is a huge reservation, because of the way you have learned all your life. People, changing over is not easy because you are at the beginning of your journey. You find that okay, I don't mind changing. So when I changed, I remember for about 6 months I was not able to play anything.
That's okay for me.
Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is okay for you, but I did it after 10 years of learning.
Okay. But I am twice, I mean, you said 35 or so, I am twice a day, and yet I want to change it because I can produce better.
No, at 35 I changed. Before that I was playing the flute,
Correct.
but
I,
not doing the riyaz part of it. The
so
way
I am saying that I am twice that age, and yet I am ready to give
so
that
do
6 months
it.
and
So
change the.
many of my students have done it, so you can do it also.
Okay.
I'll share the details for Satyavrata with Ravi Kiranji. Sir, I
Thank
think
you.
a lot of interest in terms of your Guruji lineage and the people you've learned
Okay,
from. So
so oh, so in the very initial years, I was learning, listening to the cassettes of Hariprasad Chaurasi, Hariji, like everyone else. I didn't have a guru then. I was a working professional. I used to travel 25 days a month. There was no time, uh, and I was traveling all over. I am talking about the uh, late 80s, mid 80s, and late 80s. And so it was only after I sort of settled down in Pune and came back to Pune in 91 that I, started taking this seriously. That was when I was about 30 years of age, 31 years of age. And then I was learning from Mr. Ginde, Keshav Ginde at that point. And then after a couple of years, when I really discovered this sort of a design and this hole particularly, the Western flutes have this hole. So I thought I could make this hole, but using this hole is possible only if you're using the tips. It becomes, I am not saying only if there are people who have started using it also, but it cannot be used as effectively as I do. So, all started falling in place, and then came a point where I realized that unless I do this full time, I won't be able to pursue this. So, that is when I decided to quit my job. And then I went to college to do my master's in music. For 2 years, I went to the Center for Performing Arts at Pune University and did my master's. After that, during those years, I started getting in touch with other musicians, and after my master's, there were for about 4 or 5 years I was learning with Ustad Shahid Parvez, the sitar player, and he used to teach, of course, on his sitar, and I made a flute to that scale, D. And I learned for about 4 or 5 years, but then I didn't want to really go the Alap Jor Jhala route, and I think I was finding the gap also a bit too much. I don't think I was ready to, you know, grasp and get things from him at that point of time. Then after a few years, Pandit Suresh Talwalkar, who is the great tabla player and also a complete musician, he started teaching me. And beyond that, then his wife, Padma Talwalkarji, who is a vocalist, she taught me. And both of these together have, sort of helped me get here. But the lady was the more ruthless of the two, and she is the one who was extremely, she used to be very deliberately condescending about, oh, your flute cannot do this, your flute cannot do this, and I took everything as a challenge. And I must tell you, it's only because of that. Imagine something like Todi, so she starts off Todi, and unless you begin Todi like this, sa da ni ma dha sa, I took 1 year to get this phrase right. Sa da ni ma dha sa, da ni ma dha sa. Only after you do this, you can get the re right. Sa da ni ma dha sa, sa re 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 re, re ni da sa, sa da sa re re re. So the notes come out of your head. So, I was forced to sort of, there was, I don't know how to put it, but when I started realizing that this is the only way, then I started making, in fact, I still remember it was that which prompted me to make this patch here and bring this a bit closer. So this one came closer, and that made things easy. Nima, how else do I get it? But that cleared a whole lot of rocks. So how do you get Eri Ali Piabino? Tana, how do you get this? Tana, Dana, Tana, Dana, 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 Tana. And then, when I started doing this, everything goes a notch up. Your song playing also, goes to another level. So it goes to a very different level. So with these two, and I worked very hard on making this and this. See, what happens is the weakest link will decide your control and your virtuosity. My first objective was to get these two to the same level as the other six. This one took 7 years and this one took another 4 or 5 years. So it was only after about 12 years that now I can say that all my 8 fingers are 100%. But to come here, somebody had to push me, and that it was her. And I'm so I'm so happy that it happened. Otherwise, I don't think. See, you need an impetus to do this. But now all my students see what I do, and they are able to most of them are very comfortably using this now, and everybody is using this. So then everything goes up a notch for everybody. And then the teaching becomes easy because now I am not restricted by the rags or restricted by phrases of the rag. And I can do anything. So Jaunpuri, no problem. Todi, no problem. And even somebody like Datta who doesn't really use my kind of flute, he is able to get Jaunpuri because now he's doing it from within. He is not doing it from the flute. I could see it today. Because his surs are coming, they are guided from not by the flute. He is not bothered, Look at this phrase. I think Padmatai agreed to teach me only because I could do this. So, this zero restriction point, I must say that it is difficult to reach here. But because I reached here after a lot of struggle, but now my students can really come here very fast. I can see them coming there. I'm so very happy about it. Yes, but you wanted to say something.
Yeah, yes, thank you for all the explanation. And I was wondering because I also have this Pahol, and I'm more like following Ashwin Srinivasan. You know him maybe?
Yeah, he uses this beautifully.
Yeah, so but also like I uses the not the tips of my fingers, but the middle part, and but you said you can have even more control on the Pacham hole when you're using also the fingertips, and how much more control then do you have? Because I see your hole is a little bigger than mine hole. I have a small hole, you can see, and it's because it's further away, I guess, or it's closer, or it's well. I just burn it here and then I
No, what I do is I use I use one size bigger bamboo.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
So this is not an E bamboo. This is a D sharp bamboo.
Oh yes, I see.
And then I make an E flute on that, and I make the holes very big, and that gives me a wonderful control.
Ah
That
yes,
gives
I see.
good control on. Yeah,
Yeah, I see.
and using this, so unless you are able to use this for khatkas and murkis, so I'll show you something. So supposing you're playing khamar. This is important. So it is all these small things which actually bring completeness to or it does justice to the rag.
Yeah,
I won't do this for Bhairav, or I won't do this for maybe Jog, but Khamaz demands it, and I should
yeah,
be able to. So what I am saying is, whatever is the musical demand of a melody or a rag or a composition, my sincere effort should be to go meet it. And I think the best artists, best musicians to define these demands are the vocalists.
yeah,
I think the biggest mistake was the flute following the sitar. With all due respect to Shahid Bhai, I learned from him, but I think you pick up, see what happens is you want to bring in all the elements. Sitar tries to come closer to Gaiki, and the vocalists want to bring in some elements of the sitar, so we try to bring in the jhala. But when I look at the jhala, even jhala was, by Ravi Shankar on sitar and jhala by Vilayat Khan were very different. Vilayat Khan's jhala was completely gaiki, it was more of tana kriya, whereas Ravi Shankar's jhala goes sur by sur. So these are completely different expressions, So and I think in conclusion, what I would say is I have to do whatever this instrument can. But going beyond that, if there are certain things this cannot do, and I am convinced that it's a musical requirement, I should strive to achieve it. Now, whether it is only the physical, toiling, or it's the number of years put in, but I think beyond a point, it was Sureshji who actually, made me realize the gap between understanding and being able to do things. And that is a huge, huge gap, particularly for people who are educated otherwise, who are otherwise successful professionals in their lives. They don't realize that, they feel that I have understood and that's enough. But then all that is completely useless when you actually try to do it on your instrument, to bring it to perfection, because that is where you have to keep all your this cap outside there, all the intellect out, and surrender to it completely, and keep doing it.
Yeah. One more
Yeah,
question
yeah, please.
Yes.
about playing. When you play, what do you visualize? Do you visualize the swaras? Are you when you're playing a lap, for example, you visualize the knee, and when it's slightly more komal, or the placing of, or when you do paltas, so you visualize the steps like stairs, like what I do sometimes, like going up and down the stairs. So how do you do
I,
it?
I will try and answer that question as articulately as I can.
Thank you.
If we can use the term oralization rather than visualization here, and I think the key lies in internalizing the melodies. So so you have to internalize the what do you mean by internalizing the rag? And a rag is how does the rag progress? Does it progress through swara or does it progress through phrases? So I am convinced that the rag progresses through phrases and not like swara. And each phrase is a unit. And if you internalize the phrases in the right manner, this method actually was used by Sureshji's guru, Pandit Gajanan Bua Joshi, who also was the guru of Pandit Ullas Kashalkar and Ashok Ranade and a whole lot of musicians. He was a violinist himself and a singer. But his method of teaching was teaching rag through phrases. And phrases made at a particular pace. And that pace used to be, so let's take an example. I don't know, any rag. I mean, we can even take a Yaman. So what are the phrasing? What is the phrasing of Yaman? Now, a phrase of a rag is a subset of its chalan. Phrases put together are going to give you the entire chalan of the rag. But a phrase is more specific in that it gives you the exact placement of the notes and the connections. And you are able to focus more on this when you are focusing on a small phrase. So what happens is, how does Yaman, to use visualization, how does Yaman look? So where do I begin Yaman? So now, let me try. The first nishad which I use, I try to visualize it as the nishad of Yaman. It's a part of this. How much of the? No. So this ni the sa, you internalize by playing it 1,000 times. Only the ni the sa. Ni the sa. Then you go on. What is the next one? This is a very, very specific ray for Yaman. Now this ni the ni re sa is 100% Yaman. Re ni the sa. Now I go on focus. I can play I keep telling my students, I can stick to the re ni the sa and only do this for 2 hours at a stretch without thinking on this side and that side. You do that and then you have it. So imagine what happens is after that, then I have to go to the ga. It will always peep in first. Ni re re, and then you go to the ga. Ni re re ga, and then I don't care what is happening, if I have internalized the phrases right, if I choose a particular version of a phrase, it will lead me to the next part. And so, I think one very good guide would be to look at the whole thing in quadrants. I think I've said this earlier. So how does Yaman look in the first quadrant? First quadrant is everything below the sa. What all I can do in that space. And then I go to the next quadrant, which is up to the pancham, then the third quadrant and the fourth quadrant. So I know how the rag looks in that quadrant, then I am able to connect it to the next one. And then I can go to the whole way. And when I go the whole way, and I am 100% sure that I will not be able to reproduce what I just played. It will be Yaman, but not exactly the same, because I start off on a path and it takes me on a whole circuit. If I start slightly differently, it will take me on a different circuit, but it will still be Yaman. So I don't really have to visualize. So what happens is, this is internalized. I can do this for an hour. internalized. I don't really have to think. If I spread this and stretch it on a like on a balloon, then it becomes alap. Now I can focus on the pa. If I don't do this, this is where my pa is of the flute. So all these movements, it's such a complex dynamic that I really, it's the only way is to capture it is internalize it to such an extent that you are right on the phrase, you are right on the swara positions, you are right
Yeah.
on the connections. Yes.
But in order to internalize what I noticed that I need to visualize first, because I need to, for me, so as a Western student, maybe also for Indian students, I have this Merukan practice where I practice Saregama in all the 20, and so I need to slowly, like 30 BPM, Saregama, and to do all the variations, and then I'm seeing all the steps, and that really helps me to know where the swaras are and to sing them in sur. And then when I play flute, it's easy.
Yes, absolutely. But looking at the quadrants is a very, very
Yeah.
good tool to visualize. And you know what happens is I think I just said it in one of the videos which I made. Creativity or you know the word upaj. Now, being creative is how do you define the creativity? What gives me this phrase? This is exploration. This is not creativity. There is a difference. You know what to explore. You keep on exploring, and things start happening. You know, I don't know if we have. I think we have time. So I'll just one of my gurus in articulation has been, I don't know how many of you know the scientist Carl Sagan. And he was an astrophysicist, and he brought science closer to the common man. And I was listening to one of his lectures recently, a video lecture, and he talked about creativity, and he put it so beautifully. He said, creativity begins from the unconscious, but when it comes out as an expression through anything, through either your writing or through whatever, then it has to be validated by your conscious. And this is a beautiful thing to look at it, you know. It begins, you don't really know where it comes from. It comes, but then when it comes, at the same time, your conscious mind is checking whether this conforms to the chalan, whether this confirms, and that is what makes it more correct. It sounds correct, and then I don't really have to worry. Because I have internalized the correct structures, whatever I do, I am checking it real time. And so because there is nothing wrong and right. It is all appropriate, whether it is appropriate or not, and appropriate for that moment. Something which is appropriate in the alap may not be appropriate in the tan. Or something which is appropriate in one rag may not be appropriate in another rag. So how do you, make all this come together? Firstly, of course, and the thinking has to go there, but that thinking you cannot apply while playing unless it comes as a constant check on the creative process. It's wonderful, I think, and then you don't have to worry. I always believe you don't have to do it. I don't have to do anything. The rag takes me around, and like a child, he is holding me, and he or she, I don't know, and it's just taking me around, and it doesn't matter which rag, because this swara just happened. I think we're getting a bit too heavy. Let's get back to.
I think it's a good segue. Siddharth had a question regarding Merukand, and since Bart has already touched on the topic and you've covered most of it, I thought
So
it'd be
I'll
good to
explain
have a
Merukhand then.
yeah, just
I'll
to have a
I can
concluding simplicity around the topic.
Yeah. No, no. So the Merukhand is, it was the method of the Bendi Bazar Gharana. And what they did was they broke down the chalan or any sequences. So they made actually wrote down all the possible permutations and combinations which are mathematically possible. Actually make a list of them. So for example, you start from I have never done it. So what I do is I just make my own sequences and go. I don't follow very specific patterns. But see, patterns are not what are aesthetically done as development of the rag. Patterns is for riyaz. Patterns is for practice. What you actually do in a performance, you can start off with a pattern, but then you have to diverge and make it. I don't know how to put it, but pattern is just a basis. You don't present a pattern, and there are some styles which go on. Oh, pattern number 1, pattern number 2. So the tal, the tan is a specific pattern completely unfolding over the whole range. And so Merkhand is where it's a beautiful technique for practice. It gives you all the possible combinations, but then unless you know which of those combinations are actually good for that particular situation, for the rag or for the segment of your development, it doesn't really help. And I've seen people confused because you try to you have and what happens is when you master something on your instrument, it takes a whole lot of restraint not to use it. Really, you put in so much of effort to master one particular pattern, and you want to use it, you want to show it. But then when you actually use it for alap or tan or whatever, then you probably think that, oh, this was not right for that portion. But Merkhanda is an accepted practice. Not many people do it today. But you can use computers today to generate Merkhand. It should be very easy.
No, but it is the mind that is need. Sorry, but I got it practice from the Daga brothers. They use it. They teach it, and they know the 120. They know if you can do it, you can do 120 or sometimes 540 or 5,000, and it just makes your mind so sharp that you're not. There's no doubt anymore. You know where the pa is. All the swaras are, and that is for them the practice. And then you let go of the whole structure. You're not trying to show off. It's more for a meditation.
That letting go is the most difficult part, and not many can do it. Yeah, that's the catch in it.
No, this
Yes.
is great. I'm sorry. Just to so Siddharth, yes.
So although Guruji has answered about the Merukhand part,
Can you speak up? Can you speak up? I can't hear you.
Hello, am I audible? Is it fine? Am I audible?
I think it's a volume question. So if you just go into your audio settings and increase the volume of your mic, that should help.
Yeah.
Is this fine now?
Yeah. I'll strain. Yeah, go.
Okay. So Merukhand part, what I asked because in last session also I asked about alap, how to approach the alaps. So I came up with the Merukhand part where we explore the possibilities of the phrases. So as alap is like a clear canvas where we don't have anything and we start to create things. So I was unable to explore how to approach the alap and find correct phrases for it. So is the Merukhand right thing to practice for exploring more things, more phrases in alap? That is what my question was.
Again, it depends upon how you are able to use it. Unless the structure of the rag is clear to you, mere American practice will not help you get the right alap. So, for example, we were playing the Jaunpuri today. If you don't have the structure right, it is so very difficult, very easy to confuse it with Darbari at certain points. And some of the American patterns, unless you are clear whether to use them in Darbari or in Jaunpuri, then you're not doing justice to the rag. See, again, it's not about correct. When it comes to the structure of the rag, you have to believe that the correctness of structure is the key to the aesthetic development of the rag, and you have to put your trust in it, you have to surrender to it and decide to follow the code of the rag, so that whatever you do brings out the essence of the rag. You are doing what the rag wants. Whereas, and otherwise play the other rag. Na? You can't confuse Deskar with Bhoop. If you are playing Bhoop, you have to do things in a certain way. If you want to do other things and add them to Bhoop, why not play Deskar, or why not play Pahadi then? And why not? There is an alternative to every need of every musician in all the rags which we have. You choose the right rag and do justice to the structure. And what I'm saying, I'm not saying this from a puritanic perspective. I am saying this from my experience, that you don't really have to do anything if you stick to the structure. Alap happens automatically.
Yeah.
Like I started with Yaman, if you have the phrases right, and the idea again is so what is the purpose of alap? Tell me. It is not the phrases. The purpose of alap is finally, after you internalize the structure of the rag and the tal, what is left is exploring the swar and the lay. Unless you are able to explore the fineness of this swar on the canvas of the rag phrases, it doesn't take you further. That is the objective. It doesn't come by more number of combinations. It comes by going deeper down to the correctness of this swar.
Okay.
Yes,
And
Mullah has a question.
one more question I
Yeah,
have. Like,
yeah.
what should we practice more for better ear training? Like it's my first year. I have completed 1 year of my journey in music with Bansuri. But I'm still unable to guess what swar are being played. So for that, what should we practice more?
The sad part is we are forgetting tanpuras from our life. And we, with the ready-made tanpuras on the apps, all you do is click a switch and the tanpura in E is playing. We have forgotten how to tune the two notes. We have forgotten how to tune the pancham just listening to the shadja, or how to tune the madhyam just listening to the shadja. How do I imagine the gandhar unless I am trained to listen to the gandhar which comes out of the tanpura? So I think the answer is to go back to the Tanpura. Unfortunately, that is not very easy unless you buy a Tanpura. But I think we have a solution now. I have developed an electronic Tanpura now, which will need to be tuned like a Tanpura. It will have 4 knobs for 4 swara, and you have to tune each of them. It will not play the selected combination. and this is in the final stages of development. I think another couple of months we should have it, and I think that will solve the issue to a large extent. So just wait for a couple of months, and I think we will have a tool for you to, train your ears.
Naturally, in my 1 year journey, what I have learned till now, like along with Tanpura, I start humming and like Om or Hmm,
Yeah.
and this way I am able to find my correct Sa. And once I find the Sa, for me it's easier to locate Pa. But other swaras are difficult for me.
So it will happen. So if you look at the correct, if you look at the exercise which I gave, Sapa, Sama, Saga, Sare, Sa, you practice that, and the things will fit into your mind.
Yeah, I do that.
Yeah,
Thank you, Guruji.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think this is a great platform as well. We have a lot more questions to cover, so we'll try and balance the time available.
Mula is raising
Yeah,
his
yes,
hand.
absolutely, yes.
Janab
Good
Mula,
evening.
yeah,
Good evening, sir.
can
I'm
you
sorry,
can
I
you
cannot.
turn?
No, I cannot. There's some issue with my video. I'm so sorry
Uh-huh,
for this. It just
uh-huh.
happened some time back because I was in another class.
Hmm,
So my question was regarding Merukhand.
hmm.
Merukhand, I thought was to master the positioning of getting the notes correct, and probably like every time you play, instead of getting the phrases or whatever, because it's a mathematical permutation combination.
I think there is a disconnect here, because if you when you talk about the right positions for the swara, it is the rag which decides it. It is not without the rag, because my gandhar could be different even from the gandhar which comes out of the tanpura. That is the rag requirement. If I am playing rag Bhageshri, my rishabh is definitely much higher than the rishabh I hear from the tanpura. Or and things don't bother you. I play marva with the pancham tuned on the tanpura. I am hearing the shuddha rishabh, I am hearing the pancham, but that doesn't bother me, because once I attune to marva, it is not about, it is within a rag, it is the samvad, it is the sharja pancham, sharja madhyam pairing which gives you the right notes. So, for example, when we talked about Todi, how do we get the right Komal Daivat of Todi? It has to be imagined that the Sharja becomes its Gandhar. That Daivat will be the Daivat of Todi. Once you get the Daivat, you get the Rishabh, because that is the Pancham of the Daivat. Then you get the Gandhar, and Gandhar Pancham is the same relation as Daivat. So once you start looking at internal relations between the notes of the rag, you get the Swara positions right. Just playing them in different combinations is not the answer. And most of the answers you will find, if you listen to what Kumar Gandharv had to say, he all his sayings now start making sense. He used to say you should be able to make any note the sa. What it means is, if I can make the Komal Daivat as the Sharja, then Todi becomes very easy. Or if I make a particular, I should be able to get the right notes. I have to imagine some other swara as the sa and get the note right. It had tremendous thing. So Merkhanda, according to me at least, again, I may be wrong. I have not practiced Merkhand, but I don't think just by practicing different combinations you get these notes right. You have to visualize the rag and the internal samvad. You play Malcolms unless the nishad of the Malcolms is specific. And unless I am able to, for example, again, so since we are on the topic, this is Bhageshri. nishad is specific to Bageshri because I have internalized it in the phrases. But when you go to Malcolm's, the the Komal nishas are so very different. How will you get them just by practicing it as part of different combinations unless you know the raga demand? What is the demand? They have to sound identical. Gandhar also is quite chada. So I practice Malcolms. I don't care whether I am practicing Sagama or Sagamadha or Sagamadani or Dhanisa, because my Dhanisa in Bageshri is going to be very different from the Dhanisa in Malcolms. So for me at least, the Swara positions are found by knowing the structure of the rag and understanding the samvad within the saptak.
Thank you so much for clarifying that. Thank you.
No, again, let me clarify again. This is not. I am not. I am only saying that I have not practiced Merukhand. If you can use Merukhand to get your swara right, I'll be very happy because that gives you a tool at least. And we are not dependent. But there is a whole lot of understanding takes you to that level. So try this out and compare the two. Maybe you will start realizing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So we will try and cover as many questions from the group as possible right now. And then the first one was from Mr. Bhatt. He has sent his apologies. He couldn't join in today because of some unforeseen circumstances, but he will have access to the recorded video of today's session. So the first question is about tonal quality. How do we define tonal quality of a Bansuri? What factors, the make, the lip, the holding position, blowing pressure,
I
and
think
how can we
that
improve?
is too technical and too personal, I think.
Okay, so we can
But
maybe.
I can tell you what happens is, I got a comment on one of from someone saying that he was disappointed that my phone is clean and there was no hissing sound. So now tell me, is the hiss associated? See, if you are getting the tatkar, why should you have the hiss? Does a singer sing in a husky voice? I need and I should be able to control the what is tone control? What happens is, and again volume control. You should practice with the lowest possible volume and still get the note right. And then increase it. And at the highest volume, there should be no hiss. If you keep on doing this, then you get some median control over your volume and tone together. This is the nishad of Malcolm's. Ni, 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 the, ni. Unless I have that image and I am trying to reproduce that image, I cannot bring in the tone and the volume proportion to that point. Na, ni, ni, and it has to become pointed. I have to control the breadth of the note also. So there are so many variants, so many variables, which can be taught in person, but you have to, sort of, I think playing songs gives you a good control over your tone and volume. So you should play songs as much as possible because it gives you a reference of what is required.
So this is great. So I think this covers a whole gamut
I
of
think
questions.
just one comment here. I think in the current scenario, whether vocal or instrumental, his is considered as a musical material because the way it is used by everyone, it is mistaken to be musical material, I think.
Yeah, so I'll tell you again, why can't we get the particularly when you go to the tatkar, I call it tatkar, right? Or, what is used in the zhala. You can produce a clean tatkar. And again, tatkar comes at the end, so you have warmed up enough. Just playing it like this is different. But after, at the end of a bandish, when the tempo is high, when you are warmed, when you are heated up, then the tatkar has to be clean as a whistle. Ta- da- 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 tak- 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 tak. So I don't know why we take non-clarity there as a virtue and demand it.
Sometimes
Yes,
I love how these conversations become philosophically applicable to everything. So
yes,
this is great.
yeah.
In case there's a question from anybody here, we'll take it. Otherwise, we'll move on to the written questions that came up on the group. So if there's something, please
We
unmute
we are
yourself and
already
ask.
coming to the end of time, I think.
Correct. Okay, so we'll just move on to the next one. I think some little more clarity moving ahead from the Basuri and going into music about Vadi Samvadi. So one of the questions that Mr. Bhatt asks is, what are all the factors that decide Vadi Samvadi pair for a rag? And if you're learning for music under a guru and you shift to another and it changes definitions, where do you stand and, how do you address that confusion?
I have never gone by the Vadi Samvadi, and I was never taught the Vadi Samvadi. I was never given the chalan as a written chalan. See, Vadi Samvadi, according to me, is something which you discover when you go on exploring the chalan of a rag over time. And in more than half the cases, in fact, even musicians, do not converge. They don't agree on the Vadi Samvadi pairs. Some say Sharja is Vadi, others say Madhyam is Vadi, some say Pancham is Vadi, Rishabh. So which pair to treat as Vadi Samvadi pair? Only one rule that applies is by default all Vadi Samvadi pairs have a Sharja Pancham, Sharja Madhyam relation between them. Now, how do you use it and which is the dominant pair you see within a rag will depend upon how you explore the rag and how you have internalized and the chalan. So I think Vadi Samvadi, rather than looking at it as a grammar definition, I would leave it to the exploration of everyone. You find your own Vadi Samvadis, and you will be able to find them definitely if you know the chalan well and if you go with that angle. Yes.
That's interesting. I think a follow-up on that is also regarding notations. A lot of students have been asking questions about memorizing notations and finding the right or the most accurate notations on the internet, for example, as a matter of fast tracking your understanding. Any comments on
Notations have to be seen as skeletons and not the finished picture. See, what happens is you start off with a skeleton, then you build a body over it, then you put clothes on the body, then you put ornaments on the body. This is how you are, developing the finished picture. Notation is at the skeleton level. Unless you are able to use it at the skeleton level, it becomes a problem, because notation doesn't tell you how to connect notes, and music is in connections, not in the notes. So notations only help you, develop something, but it's not the end. It is just the beginning. So leave it at that. Use the notation, but only to sort of recollect things, not to use it for practice, and not definitely to use it for the finished product.
Oh, that's extremely interesting. Okay, I think that covers most of the questions that were asked on the group. I think there is some, again, from a Tanpura perspective, slight technical. I think Gunendra had asked this question, saying most good Tanpura software provides A as 440 or A as 432.
I
And
will, unless he is here, I don't think I'll get into that discussion.
okay, I'm not too sure he's joined in today, but okay, fine. That was one question. So,
Yeah.
um, I think that covers most of the questions that Mr. Bhatt had asked on the group. And of course, there are lots of people who may have not been added to the group. So I'll just put the link for the WhatsApp group. It's just a forum where Nitin sir is not present. So any questions that do come up, or any suggestions or any interactions that you want to have with your fellow.
You just give me a moment. I'll just join you back. Yeah.
Yes. In the meanwhile, till Nitin sir comes back, it's probably an internet issue. I will share the link for the WhatsApp group. We use this group primarily to ask questions, share suggestions or practice and things which are related to the Basuri. So if you would like to join this group and you have not already joined, please feel free to join this group and have conversations around your Basuri playing. In the meanwhile, I'd invite Vivek. I think maybe a nice conversation till Nitin sir joins in about the Tanpura and the importance that you felt when you started off again with Nitin sir. So, do you want to share some thoughts regarding the whole Tanpura and the importance? Which Siddharth also shared that doubt.
Yeah, I think the question was about ear training.
Right.
Was I think what I was told, and I think today I believe into it, that unless until you understand the sound and you tune that to the requirement of what the sound is, you would not be able to kind of accelerate into anything. So Tanpura plays a very important role of guiding you to get to the right swaras. And for the longest period of time, it was very difficult to connect with it. But I think now, since you understand the context, so to have a natural Tanpura is difficult. And if there is a possibility of having something which can be tuned or which can really start to know that what it is, I think that helps a lot. And I think it plays a very important role in developing the sound within yourself. And what Nitin sir was saying about understanding what is the nishad of balkons versus any other rags is only when you understand the sound and then you understand the thing. And Tanpura plays a very, very important role. This is my opinion.
Yeah,
Oh,
sorry.
thank you. So
Nitin sir
that's
is
great.
I'm back again.
We just had a short conversation regarding the importance of Tanpura, since a lot of people have this question about training the ear. So we'll jump into that question.
So,
Another, I think there was an interesting conversation since Ram has joined in today. Ram, are you around? Can you unmute yourself? Maybe. Okay, it doesn't really matter. So one of the things he said, and it was a great discussion that we had here in Mexico, was regarding the amount of time that is required in between sessions. So just as a quick reminder, we've extended the Basuri Fundamentals program to without any end dates. So if anyone has any difficulty in accessing the program, please also let us know. Ram, any thoughts regarding a follow-up from what we spoke about in terms of the next steps?
No, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi.
I'll try. Hi. I had to switch to my phone, which is why I was struggling. Um, anyway, I'm trying to get my video on, so sir, at least we'll see. Okay, I guess.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Welcome. Hey.
Hey. No, firstly, thank you for extending that time because I'm totally an amateur in the Bansuri world. I picked up the Bansuri about what, like 8 months, 9 months ago, and initially I didn't even understand what sir was trying to say in the video of finding the sa and and then now, from sa to pa was always easy. I think I'm personally not convinced with my ma. So when the course was for 3 months, I was like, how is everybody getting ahead? Like either these people are like super geniuses or I had no clue and I didn't know what to say because, people were putting comments for module 16 or 12 and I'm like in SAPA module 3 at that point. Even now I use the digital app, right? iTabla Pro. And I don't understand because there's two Tanpuras there. There's some SAPA and there's I think one more. There's two and I just stick to the default without really knowing whether I'm doing this right. Vivek sir has been very kind. He's helped me out, and so I'm still on that journey. I have to still submit my assignment because I myself feel I'm not good enough to send the entire basic assignment. And now I see, I think the group's kind of moved on to Raga, so I just keep quiet in these sessions. I'm like, everybody's so far ahead now. I'm still in Sapa, Sama, the basics. So, okay. And I do play songs. I try and play songs like what Nitin sir said. Um, but my songs are very basic. I also understand this group's predominantly North Indian, so a lot of the songs they pick up, I'm like, I think I've heard these Hindi songs before, but I don't know. Like they're from a period that's not, I guess, what I've heard before. But and the other thing was always I use the G sharp flute. I started with the G sharp because I think of the size. I do have the E scale Bansuri, but so switching what was in the videos to the G sharp, and that's where Vivek sir helped me is to get all my the Tanpura settings right I guess for my G sharp flute, so I could follow the curriculum, but with the G sharp flute versus the E that was on the yeah Ragasphere.
On the E or F or F sharp or G sharp, I would like to make a comment there.
Please,
If as an adult you have to start learning to bicycle, do you take a kiddish bicycle with two wheels, support wheels? You would take a full size bike, isn't it? Because physically you don't need a small bike. In the same way, I think whether you are a beginner or not, E should be easy to handle. Just remove that mental block.
okay.
And what makes it, in fact, the higher you go in pitch, it is the more difficult becomes the control on the tone and volume. Okay, so E probably is towards the end of the spectrum. Why E? Because Pannalal Ghosh, who started using the flute for as a center stage performance instrument, he chose the E because for a classical presentation, you at least need to go down there. On a much sharper tone, it is neither a female voice, and it becomes very shrill beyond a point. So E seems to be the golden point for uh, the flute. You go below the E, then things start becoming difficult. But I think for any adult, normal adult, E should be easy to handle. I think my fingers are probably the most unsuited for the flute. But don't worry too much. If not E, try the F.
Okay.
But
I
yeah, F sounds good.
Yeah, I've tried switching to the E. It's I think
Yeah.
because like
So
my journey started
try
online and I just looked up
try
which was
playing.
the beginner and picked up a G sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Try playing the E flute. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you,
Will
Ram,
do,
for this.
sir.
This is good. We had someone join in at this point, but I'm glad that they've come in. We will be sharing the recorded version of this session tomorrow. And if there are any questions, please feel free to either drop me an email or to bring them up on the WhatsApp group. I've shared the WhatsApp link as well. Nitin sir is in the process of shooting a whole bunch of videos on what he considers as good music. These are up on the RagaQuest channel, so it'll be great if if not seen them, to start having a look at them. Again, as usual, your suggestions are welcome. Any specific suggestions or areas of improvement that you may have. For me, for example, please feel free to drop me an email as well.
Chanak, quick question, just maybe for the group. Any updates on the Tanpura? I know sir mentioned the working on the Tanpura, the physical device.
I I will have the first prototype for use on stage. I saw Joy somewhere in the
Yeah, Joyce, yeah, yeah.
Joy is still here. So Joy, people are
Uh,
eagerly waiting for this. So
So,
I'm going to use the prototype for my concert in Calcutta on the 22nd of February. And after that, we will finalize the whole thing. So it should take by around April, I think we should have it.
I think, okay, that also addresses
okay.
Bart's question. So thank you very much for for letting us know.
Yes, so I think we yeah, we extended well beyond our time today.
Yeah, that's which is always true.
Yeah.
So I don't think
Janak also, ask people to, subscribe for the channel and, spread it more. We want to touch the magic figure of 10,000 by the time the Tanpura is ready. So
Oh, yes,
that is,
absolutely. So please, I think this is a small request. We've not made this request ever before until now. The fact that a lot of things open up when your channel reaches 10,000 subscribers, especially in the from a customization and a reach perspective. So I will share the link for the RagaQuest channel as well. So if you can please share it with your friends and other enthusiasts, that'll be great.